Let's be honest, real estate burnout is real. You can love what you do and it can still break you.
Ain't that the truth?
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the Open Books Podcast, where we discuss all things real estate, taking you to the road less traveled to real estate success. I am your co-host, Curtis Haddock, alongside my other co-host, Casey Tuter, and we are missing Brooke Massey this morning, but that's okay because we're about to give you guys an amazing episode with the two of us. Wouldn't you say,
Yeah,
Casey?
it'll be the best.
It's going to be probably the best one yet.
That's right, I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Usually is the case when one of us is out.
Right. Man, that was the best podcast ever. That's what you said last week.
Yeah.
That's good, man. That's good.
Why don't you set the stage for us, man?
I'm gonna. Have you ever been burned out?
Have I ever been burned out? No.
Yeah.
No.
I feel like I'm burning out right now. So it's like this is actually a good day to talk about it. And
I mean,
how to pick it up.
I mean, you've gone through burnout multiple times then, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I have gone through burnout. One time I went through burnout, like legit burnout.
Yeah.
And it is not, it's not easy, and it's not easy. It's not easy to overcome. And yeah, so I think you can get tired of it. And that's not burnout, but burnout is like, man, you're done, kind of thing.
Right. Well, so the reason the burnout, I mean, it'll affect me, but at the end of the day, it's irrelevant because I still have bills to pay. And so
it'll always affect you, right? I mean, I think, but if you're able to push through,
you have to. I do.
You have to. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, well, you don't have to. You don't have to. You can always do something else, but depending on the lifestyle that you want to live, then you might not have a choice.
I kind of have two different burnout feelings. It's like, one is I'm really busy making really good money and I just can't stop to breathe. That can burn you out. And then whenever your business starts getting slow and you just have clients after you and it just seems like all your deals are busting at the same time, I feel that's almost worse for me because it's just discouraging.
Yeah, and I
hard to stay positive.
I would say that's more discouraging and like just like, man, that stinks. But like, I don't know if I would say that that's necessarily burnout. Like, I think to me, burnout legitimately is like you're done. Like you are like, I don't even want to think about real estate anymore.
Not returning the phone calls.
Yeah, you're not even working anymore. Like you are like, you're pretty much have lost any kind of passion, even towards like your why. So like paying your bills and taking care of your family and your kid. Like it gets to a point where it's like, okay, like this ain't it for me anymore. I'm actively looking for something else. I think that you can recognize that burnout is on its way, possibly through some of those feelings, and then try to protect against it. And that's kind of really what we want to talk about today is, how do we recognize burnout? In fact, I'll just kind of tell you what we're going to go through.
Okay, great idea.
Yeah, you're going to recognize burnout. You want to avoid like imposter syndrome.
Yes, that's hard.
And overcome that, which that's it's just kind of doubt in your own mind. You want to reignite your passion, and that's also extremely difficult, especially if you are in burnout. You gotta figure out a way to reignite your passion and find your purpose again, and then you got to be willing to start fresh without starting over. And I think every single one of those is just difficult in and of itself. So let's start with the first one, and I think that it's obvious that recognizing the signs of burnout, it seems pretty like simple, but just in our conversation here, I don't think it's as black and white as people want to make it, because we're going to go through emotional roller coasters throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout our month and our year. I mean, there's just, real estate is very, very emotional. And when you're experiencing those lower emotions, recognizing that is that burnout, or is that just, a low emotion, and it's just almost like, like I just, you're just pushing through the day or the hours or whatever, So I think trying to recognize the difference between the two is probably not as easy as we want to make it.
I agree.
So what would you say are some signs for burnout for you?
Well, I think something just kind of popped in my mind is like, I think what could happen is, well, this happens all the time with people, but you give it your all during the day, and you smile and you give it, even if you're hating it, but then you get home and you lose it on your partner or your kids. And, because it's like you're done being nice to people. And I think that's definitely a big sign of it as well. Because really, if your why is big enough, like, you're gonna have low moments, obviously, but you should go home like refreshed a little bit because you did what you were supposed to do for the day, and that's supposed to fill you up because you love what you do. Yeah,
I think when I experienced burnout, the first and really only time I feel like I've experienced burnout. I mean, I've had moments where it's like, man, I want to like, how am I still doing this job with everything that we've gone through, especially since we've started our own brokerage. But recently I've recognized that, I mean, some of that is just very, very high stress and anxiety, and fear, and some of the self-doubt, which can lead to burnout if you're not careful. But the first time that I went through it, it was not only like an emotional, like mental battle with trying to push through, the workload that was necessary to succeed in this business. But for me, there was also a physical aspect to it, to where I wasn't even able to hustle the way that I am accustomed to hustling, and it's like when I was like passionate and like excited and, doing the things that we do in this business, I was all over the place. My days were filled with things to do and going on. And I was excited about, making my next FSBO call. I was excited about doing my next open house, and I was ready to go get my next paycheck. But the physical side, whenever I realized that like I wasn't physically capable of, and part of that was mental, like, pushing my physical body to go do some of this stuff. But that's when it really affected me, to the point where, and this, where I did get out of it for several years. I didn't like completely get out of it, but I stepped away to the point where I wasn't even actively working transactions anymore. And that had a major impact on my network and my business, and I also attribute some of that to health and things. I mean, so there's so many things that could come into play, but the health stuff did not help the physical, which then in turn impacted the mental and the emotional. And when you combine all of that with this wonderful world of real estate that we deal with, I was like, I don't think I can do this in this state of mind that I'm in right now. Now, luckily, I didn't just like quit altogether, because I knew that this was something that I wanted to do. Yeah. And I knew that if I could get the physical side figured out, I knew that I was going to want to come back and work the way I was used to working. Because like you said, the job that I ended up doing was a desk job, at least the majority of the time, but I was making not even half what I was used to making in real estate. Right. And so, but at that time, it did not matter to me. I was like, I don't care, as long as I can take care of my bills and my family and all that kind of stuff. It didn't matter to me. I had to take a step back and get away from the business for a little bit. But I'm not saying that's the best way to handle burnout either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't look the same probably for anybody.
I don't think it does. But I do think that yeah, I think that's a good point. I think it's going to look different for everybody. And sometimes, stepping away, it's like that. It's like that. Like when you're dating somebody, and it's like you gotta let them go, experience life and everything. And if it's meant to be, they'll come back to you.
Right.
I
was gonna say that
it's just like that. You take some time away, and if this really is like the career for you, then it's not going anywhere.
Right.
Just don't quit on everything.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But I don't know. What were some of the signs for you for burnout? I mean, I think you kind of mentioned some of them, but
just irritability, being depressed, feeling like what's the point?
Yeah.
You have to go back to that why, and that does help me because I don't want to work for anyone. I will not.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I know that it's up to me. And one time in a counseling, one of my counselors told me, it's like sometimes when you don't want to do something, that's when you should double down on it.
Yeah.
Like use that feeling to go double down. Or if I start feeling bad about myself or my business, if I go set one for sale by owner appointment, it immediately turns it around.
Yeah.
Because I had a good conversation. They said, yes, you can come look at my home, and I know I'm probably going to build a good rapport, and then I'm doing my thing. Yeah. But it's like you sit around thinking about, and I know all of our agents experience this all the time. It's like they sit around at home, sit around the office, and just think about what they should be doing instead of doing it. And
why is that, do you think? I have ideas.
I'm not sure, but I mean, I and then they'll say things like, I got to get to your level. It's like, well, you can't just if you're just sitting there.
No, right. I mean,
even if I'm not making calls, I'm building something out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
working
doing
on
something.
Yeah. Not just sitting there. I think that sometimes burnout, stress, anxiety, just even just regular everyday life. You mentioned getting depressed and things like that. I mean, I think all those emotions can paralyze a person.
Yeah.
And I say that just speaking from experience.
Mm-hmm.
When you have so many things on your mind that you're dealing with and that are weighing you down, just again, mentally, physically, all of it, then you can just freeze. You just freeze up.
Yeah.
And I've seen other agents do that.
Right. Yeah. Like don't know where to start, that kind of stuff. You have to get your mind right too. And I would encourage everyone, since we're talking about burnout, I mean, obviously all the things like the depression, like I think you should be talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Like you should have a therapist. It's kind of like, I had to process a lot of stuff because where we came from taught me a lot, the old brokerage, but also really kind of screwed my brain up on the way that I see people and how I trust them.
I think you've let a lot of things in your past affect you today.
Yeah. It's kind of like if you have a girlfriend when you're young, and they treat you really bad,
mm-hmm.
like it's hard to let that stuff go.
Yeah.
And you'll punish your next partner because of the way someone else treated you.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah.
And your clients do that too. It's like the first buyer that backed out. Well, now the next buyer is not going to do that to me. And it's like, well, no.
And we're going to make sure of it by doing this.
We're going to make sure of it by making it harder for everyone. Yeah. But I think that you should be talking to someone to help you process things. And then, there's a lot of people out there, like when my son was going through his health issues, without getting into too many details, it gave me and Claire PTSD. And so we both have had to get on medication to help us deal with that. And I think that that's okay. I think my point here is I think that your life is intertwined with real estate in every way. And the way you live at home and the way that your relationships are, it all affects the business. And so you've got to get it right. You got to get your health right. You got to get your mind right. And you have to, obviously work hard.
Well, and back to, you got to find a purpose. I mean, it's something that has really, and this is not going to be for everybody, but for me anyways, like, prayer in my spiritual life has 100% helped me get through some very, very high stress and high anxiety situations and moments and things like that, to where, I have gotten to a point where I just have to throw my hands in the air and just put my faith in God and be like, okay, I just have to trust that what's meant to be is going to be. Now, that doesn't mean I throw my hands up and don't do anything and just like whatever happens,
yeah.
right? But the actions that I take and the work that I'm doing, if I am, choosing to do the things that I feel led to do and that feel right in the moment, then I feel like that, I'm going to be taken care of. We're going to be protected. Everything's going to work out, even if that doesn't look like the protection that I would want it to look like.
Right.
You know what I mean? Who
Yeah.
knows what that is? But
you'll be happier if you can handle it that way because you're not in control.
Yeah. I mean, And I mean, well, I think that it just has helped bring peace and more comfort to just, my everyday life. I read a book on stress when I was going through burnout my first time, because I was experiencing severe depression as well, because of all the health issues that I had going on, like just a bunch of autoimmune disorders and things like that. And I think that's a major issue in our country for sure.
Right.
I think there's so many autoimmune problems and health issues, and who knows what it's attributed to. I like to think it's because of what we put in our food and
100%.
All that and what we are eating and things like that. And so I read this book over on how to deal with stress, and something that stuck, I think I've shared this with you before.
Yeah.
Something that stuck with me is when you are stressed about something, and this is hard to do when it's like a very, very high, like stress, like high potential consequence moments. Like when you're stressed about anything, you got to think through what's the absolute worst possible outcome. Like, what am I worried about? Like,
like realistically, what
is the worst? And I mean, because realistically, the worst possible thing could happen, right? Because that's what's causing you to worry.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can figure out to accept that outcome,
mm-hmm.
like as if that were to happen, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
And I'll be able to manage it and get through it, then the stress starts to go down a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's, that's easier to do in some situations. Like
mm-hmm.
if you're faced with a lawsuit and it's like the worst possible thing that can happen.
And it drags on. You're living in it.
We lose everything and end up with no money and
mm-hmm.
homeless,
Mm-hmm.
How do you accept that kind of situation? And I don't have answers to that.
Well,
but
I think the reality is you won't have a choice.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean,
you will accept it.
You have to. You have to. And so, I mean, if you can put yourself in the mindset of like, okay, whatever happens, like I'll deal with it, then I think that it helps. And I think admitting to ourselves that we're not perfect.
Yeah.
And that, things, don't have to go, according to the plan that we have for our business or our life, and that it's okay, that we're not failures or any less than just because we didn't do exactly what we thought we were going to do. Yeah. Because better things might be on the horizon. You just took a different path. And I think that this is a great segue into the next topic of overcoming imposter syndrome, which the comparison game can really play into imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
When you hear imposter syndrome, like what do you think of?
Well, just basically comparison, and everyone knows that saying of comparison is a thief of joy. And like I was telling you a while ago, it's like everyone in the office, if I'm on the top of the leaderboard, they like literally tell me like, man, I wish I could do what you're doing. And it's like, well, you can.
Yeah.
And quit. Like, and also, if you're new to something, like why do you even think that you have the ability to do what I'm doing 10 years in? Like, you haven't put the time and the energy into it.
Yeah.
So you have to do those things before you can get to that point.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just wish.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and that's just a mindset that people need to realize. It's like, they need, instead of going, man, I wish I was more like that guy. It's like, you need to, you need to say, well, what's that guy doing? What did he do? And not it, and this is another thing I heard. It's like, oh, well, it must be nice. And it's like, well, but you have no idea what that person went through. Imposter syndrome or comparison. It's like, you also might see a guy driving a Lamborghini. In fact, McCaleb told me this the other day, cause we were talking or a couple weeks ago. He's a home builder in Oklahoma, a great one. And we were talking about money, and he said, my richest friends are the least happy people that I know, and it's like, okay, so you don't know what that person's going through.
For sure.
So why compare yourself to them?
Yeah. I mean, because sometimes with more money, there's more responsibilities, there's more stress, there's more fear of losing it.
Right.
Like, you sometimes are taking on more risk to amass some of the wealth. Right. And I mean, and imposter syndrome, like the actual, like what that actually is. I mean, comparison comes into play with it, but imposter syndrome is essentially, it's a syndrome where you feel like you are an imposter, like you do not belong in this industry. You don't deserve, you're not good enough. Like, like, am I really an expert in real estate? Or like, am I really going to be able to build a massive business? Like, do I even have the skill? It's a lot of self-doubt, a lot of, you're just discouraged. And I think comparison can play into that, because we look at other people that we think are successful, and maybe they're 10 years younger than you. And you're like, golly, man, like, how did he, it took me this long to get this far, and he's already way ahead of me at that age. It's like, I think that the comparison to what you said is the thief of your joy, but also it's very, there's no good that comes from comparison, I don't think, because to your point, you don't know what they had to do to get to where they are. You don't know what they had to risk. You also don't know where they started. Right. Like, what if, there are some agents that I know are very successful and sell a lot of homes. They're into the luxury homes, and they get very high end homes, and they're young. And it's like, man, how did they get into that network? Well, they were born into that network. Right.
It was luck.
Yeah. So it's like,
they put the work into it as well.
But yeah, you could be born into it and not work at it and not get those things, right, and think that you deserve for it to just be handed to you. So it's like, good, be happy for those people. Good for them. Maybe we could learn something from them. Like, what
take them out to lunch.
What do you do? What do you do to maintain that network, or to get them to trust you at such a young age, or whatever the case may be? But we can't play the comparison, because we have no clue, like, what somebody was born into, what they inherited, if they won the lottery or whatever. Like, and by winning the lottery, I mean, that doesn't mean the actual lottery. It could be, I mean, you just got something, gifted to you. Maybe you met a wealthy person, and they were like, let me fund your business for you. Right. I really like you, and I think that you are going to build something awesome. Yeah.
Which kind of also goes into play that you have to not have limiting beliefs, and realize, like, you might have to study it, like, realize what is possible. Like, there is money out there. Yeah. People are making tons of money, but most people go, there's no money anywhere. Yeah. No one's selling their houses.
Nobody would invest in me. Like, yeah, I'm a nobody. Right. I mean, I see all of these, the magazines and the awards and all the stuff that are being handed out. And it's like, man, what we have done in our brokerage should be applauded, because we kind of put our heads down and we just show up and we just go to work. Like, we didn't get a franchise and get some recognizable brand that automatically people come and talk to you to learn about your business, or join you because of it, or whatever the case may be. Dude, we started from nothing. Right. Like, no brand, no recognition, barely any kind of network. And we have built something incredible in our market here in Oklahoma City. Yeah. And we are starting to do that in our other places. But that's not easy to do. No. At all. And so to try to And also, like, you know, I have to remind myself, like, and maybe it's just something I tell myself, who knows, but it's like, I don't do this to go get recognized for awards and stuff. Like,
well, that's why we don't get awards.
Yeah. Like, we're not out there. I'm not out there like networking with agents to try to get on their good side or whatever. Like, I have no ill will towards any. I want to be friendly with everybody, and I hope that anyone who ever actually meets me and takes the time to get to know me would actually say good things about me.
Yeah.
You know, other than, you know, what they've heard from other people based on what they think about our brokerage or people in our brokerage or whatever. But it's I forget where I was even going with that. I just essentially you know, it's very, very easy to play a comparison game and start to you know, doubt yourself and what you're doing. But our mission, Casey, is we're here to make more successful agents.
Right.
That's what our mission is.
Yep.
And if anything, you know, if anything deviates, if we start taking actions so that we can win more awards or be recognized for whatever, then it's like, to me, that doesn't mean I've won awards before. It doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It collects dust on my shelf, and then nobody remembers it.
And you think about throwing them away.
Yeah, and then nobody.
Periodically, maybe I should keep it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, great, you won that, you know, 10 years ago, whatever. Like, you know, and for some people, it's probably a great accomplishment, whatever. But I just think that you got to have a purpose, you got to have a mission, and anything that deviates from that mission is keeping you, you know, off track.
Right.
It can lead to burnout, because your mission is a mission for a reason. You chose to do that for a reason. So,
that's right.
Anyway, so that imposter syndrome, you know, you gotta obviously don't compare, but to avoid self-doubt, I think, and it's to, I think, just be consistent, you know, show up, and limiting beliefs, you know, you got to believe that you could accomplish anything. Cause I truly believe that anybody can do anything if they just put their mind to it.
And I think you should probably start reading books about abundance so you can see what's actually possible.
I think reading books in general, or listening to books, however you want to do it, it will really help, because that's mentorship in and of itself right there. You know, so much, there's so much to be learned just from what people having gone through it.
Yeah.
Reigniting your passion and purpose. If your purpose has gone out, how do you reignite that? I think, so when I went through burnout, and when I really got that spark back, I truly believe it's because I didn't have the right purpose.
Yeah.
Like I thought I did.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still centered around, like, I want to be successful, and I want to, you know, provide for my family, and I want to,
which now you're doing.
Yeah. But I mean, and I was, and some would say, I mean, I was doing it even back then. Like, I mean, I was selling a ton of house. I was making really good money. Right.
Yeah.
But I didn't have like a purpose with a plan. You know, I was just going through the motions.
Right.
And I didn't know like where I was going with it. And so I didn't really take the time to really figure out what is my true, you know, purpose here. And it started with, you know, a mission statement and core values, and just sticking with those, and everything that we do is centered around that.
Yeah.
And keeping it simple.
Right.
You know, because success will follow. I really believe it will. Yeah.
So it's funny because, you know, you have your why, but you're also limited to what your brain can handle, or conjure up. So when I was barbering, cutting hair.
You did that?
14 years. You know, I was making 50, 60 grand a year, and I was starting to break down physically. I could feel it coming, and I had to work every Saturday. And if I didn't, it really affected my finances, because that was the busiest day. So like, I never, like, starting at a young age, like I didn't grow up watching football on the weekends because before I was barbing, I was waiting tables. So I was working. I was like, I've always worked weekends and I still work weekends and I'm 40 years old. But I told myself, if I were to make...
Nobody has work ethic like you probably, though.
Yeah, so I was making 50 and I told myself if I made 70, I'd never complain about money again. So that was the pinnacle at the time.
Yeah.
And of course, I blew that out of the water. And now, and then I've spent 10 years learning this business, learning how to make money, but I never really had sight of what does the end look like. And now that I'm 40 and I'm 10 years in, that's where it's going to reignite it, because now I'm going to have to figure out, okay, if I want to retire by a certain age, meaning I don't have to make money anymore unless I want to, I have to have X amount. So so now I got to start doing the planning. Now I've got to learn to be realistic, but not shoot myself short either.
Yeah.
So I want $10 million or $20 million when I retire. Okay. Well, what do I have to do every day? And then once I get that money, what do I need to do with that money to put it for later?
Yeah.
So it's a whole different game now. And I think that's where people go wrong too, because, you can make a lot of money and then you can have your money start making money for you, but you can't do it with A, risking some of that money, and B, investing your time into learning about it. Mm-hmm. Like, so now you have another job. And you got to have a CPA and you're going to have meetings and you have a tax strategist and you're putting money over here, you're moving money out of that, putting it in here, and or you're flipping houses or buy and holding, and you're learning how to invest into real estate, or you're investing into another company, like whatever it looks like when you start making that money. But you got to go to the end and then kind of back your way into it. And I think a lot of agents, they only do that on a yearly basis. It's like, okay, what do I want to make this year? Okay, yeah. I need to set X amount of appointments, but I need to be focusing on the end.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's important to do both. I mean, short-term goals, long-term goals, put plans in place. I think again, it comes back to, you can't reignite your passion and purpose if you don't even know what your purpose is.
Right.
And so I think, taking the time to figure that out is so important. And don't make it cannot be surface level. It just can't be, because you won't prevent burnout if you have a surface level purpose. I just want to make money. I
just want to help people.
I want to help people. I want to be successful. Well, why? Like what, because if you're saying I just want to help people because it makes you feel good, like because you think that's the what you're supposed to say is like, it makes you altruistic or whatever, then that's not a purpose. Mm-hmm. Your purpose needs to have, something deeper, some deeper meaning behind it. Okay, you want to help people. Good. That's great. I love that. But why do you want to help people? What is that ultimately doing, for you, your family, for your goals, right? Is it filling you up in a way that no matter what happens, like you are so passionate about helping people that when the stress and anxiety comes, that you're going to still carry that through and continue to help people when things go when things don't go right.
Yeah. Brad told me an interesting story the other day. And most people wouldn't do what he did, but he was doing a short sale and it was a nightmare. But the whole time, this lady was sick. She literally had no way of mowing her yard. And so he mowed the yard for her every week. And he's like, well, but that's what I'm called to do, is to serve others. And I was like, okay. I was like, that's great. That's big, because
huge. He does most that people stuff all the time.
Most people wouldn't do that.
No, they wouldn't.
But it's because he actually has a purpose.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
They would be, my question would be like, well, are they paying you to do it? He's like, well, no, just my commission,
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, but not anything extra. I mean, like, or you could have had them hire somebody to go do it, But yeah, if your purpose is to help others, like, then does hearing that story sound like something you would go do, or does it sound like, oh, that sounds draining to me, like I could never do that? And you're not a bad person if you don't like think like I'm gonna go mow someone's lawn for free. It just means that you might have a different calling or a different purpose, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that we could play the comparison game and think that, oh man, that person, if they help others and this is the things that they do, I mean, for me to be a good person, do I need to do those things? No, like you might have a different purpose, and that purpose could ultimately have an impact on others in different ways.
Right.
You just got to really think through it. And money is the center of a lot of this. And a lot of people, their purpose is, I just want to be successful and I want to make money and I want to provide and things like that. And so, but it's just like, I think again, but why do you want to provide? Are you wanting to teach your kids, about a different way to look at money and teach them how to have a good work ethic? Are you trying to teach them, what it means to build net worth and to show them, what it means to work through some difficult times and still stick with it, and and show them what it means to be a good, father and husband, or or parent, or whatever the relationship is. But if money is a big motivating factor for you, then I would say, well, why is money important to you? What do you want it for? Is it just, I think that if you want money, I think if your purpose is, this is going to be me being vulnerable to where, like, these are thoughts that I've had. And it has never served me well whenever I felt like this was my purpose at times in life, was I'm going to work, and I'm building towards so that I can make enough money so that I don't have to work anymore, or so that I can choose when and how I want to work, or essentially, like, I want money to not be a problem. I want money. I don't want to have to think about money anymore. Yeah. Right. And I think that mindset is just, it's too self-serving, and it doesn't end up serving
really
you.
Possible.
It's not,
right.
It doesn't serve you in a way that you think.
Yeah.
Even if you somehow got to that point, you win the lottery. Okay. If you think that just having money and then you can get rid of all purpose in life, you're going to die soon. Because if you don't have a purpose, then you're dying, and
you're going to snort it or drink it or whatever too.
I mean, that could cause you to lead down different paths,
gamble it away, whatever.
Yeah. You just don't make good choices if you don't have a purpose. But I say this because, I have some friends that are, and currently even now, going through, like, cancer and treatments and things, and like they're not able to work. And I had somebody recently tell me, like, man, they are so bored right now because they're not working. They're not able to, their purpose is just kind of shifted right now because they're having to battle this life-threatening condition.
Yeah.
And it's like, I hear that. I'm like, I would be bored too. If I was just sitting at home and all I could do is play video games and watch TV. It sounds nice.
You get bored quick.
Really quick.
Yeah.
Like within a couple of days.
Sometimes if I, this doesn't happen very often, but if I have a day where I don't have any appointments and I'm not busy at home, I'll go to the store and get a soda. I've got to get out and do something.
Yeah. I think the point is that, like, we are designed to have a purpose and not to just sit there and do nothing.
So I can't remember what the show is called. It was something like something Ocean, Blue Ocean. That may have been a book. Basically what it was is, like, they said, where are the people that live the absolute longest in the world? And I can't remember the city, but it's in Japan. And they started looking at these people's lives and what they were doing. And it wasn't the food they ate or what they drank. It's the fact that they never stopped moving. And all of their, their town was, like, real hilly. So they're walking uphill and downhill. They're building muscles we don't build.
Yeah.
They don't sit on couches. Like, we give up physical self for comfort, whereas they sit on the floor on a mat.
Yeah.
Which means they have to get down and up way more than we ever do.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why when I bend down now, I make a noise.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of people's purpose is comfort. Is how do I find comfort? How do I get
kind of
to,
you gave me that idea of saying like I want to retire and not worry about money again.
Yeah.
And I read an article about Paul McCartney. He's a billionaire. He's written the most beautiful songs in the world.
He's a billionaire?
Yes. He's also knighted. He is Sir Paul McCartney.
Oh, yeah. I think I knew that.
He still worries. It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
So like you really have to change your mindset. And it's like I had a deal bust yesterday, and it pissed me off like it always does. And I woke up today thinking about it. This is the first thing I thought about, and I said, Casey, that was yesterday. Like we're gonna get it back on the market. You need to go call some people today and like get over it.
Yeah.
You know, and so I have gotten a lot better at that.
Yeah.
It still sucks.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you can't eliminate any of these human emotions.
It's the time.
It's how do you handle it, and how long does it last, and how do you overcome it and push through and get back to your purpose.
Right.
I think
because that one deal
key.
doesn't have any impact on my purpose.
Right. No, it sure doesn't. You should be able to be like, okay, on to the next.
Yep.
Easier said than done. Okay. So to reignite your passion and purpose, to sum that up, it's like, make sure that you identify the correct purpose.
Yeah.
And your why. And it's so cliche, we talk about it all the time, but you've got to just know what your purpose is and be constantly working towards that. And when things don't go right, say, okay, how can I shift focus to get back on track to what my purpose here is?
Right.
And if your purpose is to have an impact on others and things like, okay, let's look at it this way. Let's say that you want to have an impact on people in a positive way. Let's say you want to lead the youth to a better life and out of poverty or out of the drug world and gangs. And let's say you want to mentor the youth in that way. Okay. But you work your life, you do all your stuff. And when it's all said and done, you led one person out of it and to a very successful life to where they now have a purpose. Was that worth it? Or is it like, does it have to be the masses, you know? And I think that in so many ways it goes back to comparison, and like we think like, oh, well, other people are having a major impact. We don't know like the actual impact that others are having. You only know yours. And then sometimes you don't know yours. Like sometimes people are watching you and you have no clue.
Right. That's kind of scary.
Yeah, it is. So, I think that the way we approach this thing is find the purpose and just keep working towards it. And even if you lead that one person, then I bet you that one person will tell you it was worth it. Like, thank you that your life was dedicated to making sure I made it.
Right.
I'm gonna pay it forward. So again, don't be. We say limiting beliefs all the time. It's because we know the sky is the limit for each and every one of us.
Right.
Start fresh without starting over. How we do that? Reframe failure. Do you ever that's something I do often. It's like,
well, that's what I just told you. It's like that deal busting was yesterday.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to look at it today.
Yeah. Or, reframing failure. It looks like, the good old, the Michael Jordan quote of like, he was entrusted to take the game winning shot, like several hundred times, but missed
most of the time.
Yeah. But, he actually was 50%.
Was he? Wow.
On game winners. It's a fun fact for you.
Yeah.
You can fact check me.
Still half.
That's half the time. But on the half that he missed, and I don't know how they define in this quote like what was like a shot to like for his team to go ahead or whatever. It was several hundred, I think. But But that was how many shots that he missed. He goes, but it's my failures that make my success.
Right.
We grow from our failures. The Wayne Gretzky quote, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yep.
You know, your reframing failure is I'm not failing. That failure is a part of my journey. It's a part of my success. It's a part of, you know, what has made me who I am today.
Right.
Because it gives you an education that you can't pay for.
Right.
That you can pass on and teach to somebody else. Hopefully they don't make the same mistake, you know? So, reframing what failure looks like, I think is critical to, you know, getting a fresh start and getting through burnout. So yeah.
Yep.
Anything you want to add to that?
No, I'm good. That's good stuff, man.
At the end of the day, just don't burn out, guys.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
No, just don't do it.
But protect yourself from it. You know, one of our core values is have fun. You know, easier said than done, especially when life hits you. Life is going to hit you hard, and it always will. But life hits you good too. And we got to focus on the good. And when it's not going so great, you know, learn how to manage that and cope with those things faster and faster. But maybe that's not the right thing to say, doing it faster and faster, but like accepting that it's okay to be coping with those things. But don't let it have a lasting impression on you.
Yeah, you got to learn how to cope.
Don't let your past dictate your today and your future. But have fun. And when we say that, invest in yourself, go on vacations, you know, spend time with your family. Real estate can be a 24/7 ordeal. If you let it, you have got to be able to put work down and enjoy the moments that you are living life.
Right.
But then also go back to your purpose.
Yep.
You know? So anyways.
Okay. All right. Well,
that's good. Sorry, Bruce, the best episode ever.
That's what I was going to say. Yep. Well, man, as we come to the end, just you guys, thank you for listening and joining us today. If you like what you hear, please like, subscribe, comment, click the bell, and we will see you later. I'm signing off. I'm Casey Tuter and Curtis Haddock.